Hey. What's going on, everybody? Everybody who's here, how you doing? How you doing? I am, I guess you could say, making a return of sorts. As it's been a long time. I saw something that I thought was enough to bring me out of a bit of retirement. So excuse me if I'm a little rusty again. It's been a while. What's up, beautiful people? The people who are watching me now. I know it's a little late for some folks. I am on Central Standard Time, or I think we're still in daylight savings time, and I know we are. And I know it's like almost people's bedtime, and really, I don't plan on being here too long. Just I wanted to talk about a video that came up on my timeline and a topic that I've seen quite a bit in these last few days, and that is the topic of age gap dating, or the age gaps in dating, and specifically the reasons for why men prefer to date with an age gap. Um, if you are watching on Facebook, hey, how you doing? Welcome. You probably my friend, and by the end of this, you probably should still be. I'm not going to say anything too wild. I think. If you want to watch on YouTube, you can go follow me with the screen name, the Standard RLC. That's my YouTube channel. I think I'll use that more often, seeing as how I'm already have at 55 subscribers. It has my face on it. I use the Waffle Talk logo because I mean this is so it's Waffle Talk is what we're gonna talk about. Just a little bit of housekeeping first. I'm not gonna get on camera. The setup process takes a while, and I've been really busy, and I just haven't had the nerve to do that. So uh, you don't have to watch. I mean, but you're more than welcome to listen if you washing dishes, you know, working, taking care of the kids, whatever you're doing. You can put the phone down. I'm just gonna talk and you can hear what I gotta say. Now, if you haven't seen the video that I want to discuss, of course you could watch that. But I definitely want to let you know you don't have to stay here if you don't want to. Let's see. Okay, it's 11 p.m. somewhere. Shout out to Bob's Burgers. Now I'm trying to figure out a way how I can. Oh yes, yeah, I see it. All right, cool. I was trying to see the live chat comments. So there's a bit of a clip that I saw coming across my Instagram feed that features a conversation from a podcast called Tonight's Conversation. That usually I see some clips come from them, and it usually involves a light skinned guy. I don't know his name. I haven't really taken the time to really deep dive into who these people are, especially because I wanted to, finish out the conversation just to see how it ended. But it is behind a paywall, and I'm not paying for that. So I'm just gonna react off the clip and not necessarily defend his stance, but from what I can see is the stance of many men. The clip that has been going around, I've seen shared by women who are more or less um, repulsed by what he had to say, um, in language that, of course, is demonizing his preferences. Um, I don't. Well, I'll get into what I think about it when I show it to you. But I don't necessarily. I don't 100% agree. I don't 100% agree, and maybe it's just because of this language. Um, but as far as I've been able to tell, with how men are viewing it, men kind of just say like, yeah, he makes sense. He makes sense. Women, on the other hand, have been like, I don't know, turned off by the, or I guess it's the old how you say it kind of thing. But I've heard his explanation a bunch of times before in different words from different people, and women still disgusted by it. So let me see, because I'm StreamYard's had a bunch of updates since I last got on here. I'm not exactly sure um what all or how all these things work. So kind of working the kinks out. But I don't want to be here too long. As the pastor would say in my church growing up, I don't want you twice, happy twice. When I got up and then when I finally decided to take my seat. So let's go to this clip. Now, as you can see here, the title of the stream uh is he wants a younger women, he wants a younger women. And I always that's that's funny to me. And I know people do this for interaction, because apparently if you misspell things, your post gets more interaction because you have more people trying to correct you. But also what I've noticed is that women has become singular and plural when it refers to adult female humans. Uh, just just something I've noticed, that like there is no woman anymore. It's just women. Yeah, I am a women. Like that's usually what you see spelled in social media, and it's almost like people just accept it for what it is. I won 3 spelling bees in not middle school, in elementary school, and came in like the top 5 in like middle school, and yeah, I don't like that. But we're gonna go ahead now. This is the light skinned guy that I normally see. I love feminine black women. Great shirt. As do many people. We love feminine black women. But I want to play what he has to say, and as you can see, the clip is only about a minute long. Um, and so I'm gonna play it, and then I want to discuss what is going on. And this falls under fair use guidelines.
A younger woman is going to be more open to new things. Like I said, a younger woman is going to be more impressionable. I mean, I've never met a man that is like, yo, I prefer my woman to have 10 plus years of experiences of dealing with other.
Are you in a relationship right now?
No.
But why do you think you haven't found her?
So to be honest with you, right now it's financial capacity. There's a woman that I want to meet that I am not able.
Wait. That's not the right one. That's not the one I wanted to show you. The one I wanted to show you, this is another one. My bad. Again, StreamYard. Is this clip? Oh, sorry, is this clip right here? Let me add it back to the stream. All right, add it back to the stream. It's this clip right here. Is it valid to choose younger women because they're more, quote unquote, more impressionable?
I think younger women tend to be more impressionable. I think older women, you know, in my experience, you 30, 33, 35, the experiences that you have at that point is just, you know, a little bit too much for me. And you know, I really think in some cases you really can't teach an old dog new tricks. So I prefer, you know, my women to be of the younger variety.
If a woman wants to receive.
Now, let me stop here real quick just to say, again, I've done no research into who these people are. So I have no clue how old he is, but I'm going to assume that he's at least 30 as far as like when you talk about older women. He's somewhere, I'm assuming he's somewhere above 29. He looks like a guy who's about my age, about 32, 33, whatever. And he's talking about, of course, the experiences that these older women have.
Respect you and give you the respect to lead and be her partner. Why do you need to have that level of power over her if you're not trying to manipulate someone?
See, it's not power, it's impressionable. I've never seen a successful partnership where the other person wouldn't allow themselves to be impressed upon. If I'm a person and I got a vision I got a plan. I got a whole program. I would think that the person that wants to be with me is willing to learn and willing to adopt some of the ways or even some of the principles that I have.
That's not impressionable. Impressionable is basically getting someone to do what you want them to do because they're easily swayed and easily persuaded to do what you want them to do.
Who said that? Did you make that up?
Well, I
Like
can
when
concur with that, actually.
you hire somebody, you look for somebody that's impressionable.
But
why would I listen?
Right, so you
even
can train them. So you can, when you hire somebody, you're about to train them.
Now,
And that's why you want them impressionable.
Oh yeah, see, they got an app. I'm not downloading that thing. So just to go back a little bit. Now, he talks about a woman being impressionable. Now, when I hear this, like younger women being impressionable, yeah, absolutely. I don't necessarily think that the word impressionable is the best word to use in what he's talking about. I think a lot of times what you'll probably hear in the manosphere is the word coachable. Um, but impressionable to a lot of people, it appears is that impressionable means that she has like mush for brains and she's just easily influenced and she's just going to do what I say, which is why she kind of jumped to the whole idea of like, why do you need that kind of power over somebody? I don't think in this situation he's talking about um, having necessarily a power over someone. Uh, and this is kind of, you know, me reading, watching, or kind of listening to what he's saying. I feel like I've showed this to men and women, and what I've gotten from a lot of the men is like a lot of us can understand where he's coming from. Um, impressionable is, I guess, is a bad word to use. There are probably some better words. Coachable, receptive is also a pretty good word. Is she open to receiving what I have to tell her? But I think a lot of people just get stuck on the word. Now it's kind of weird that, you know, when I showed this to some women and I asked on my Instagram page, you know, why is this video triggering? You know, they're triggered by the words impressionable. And then they start throwing in a bunch of other words that he didn't even say, like he's grooming and he's trying to groom and raise a girlfriend, or raise a woman to be what he wants them to be. But for some reason they can't get over impressionable to understand what he's actually trying to say. We can get where he's coming from. Absolutely. Uh yeah, as far as what men desire, I don't think there's anything wrong with what he's saying. Men typically, honestly, like to date younger women for reasons similar to what he's saying. Maybe not the word impressionable, receptive. You've probably heard before, they're easier to deal with, or they're more willing to listen, that sort of thing. But men typically date younger women for those reasons. You know, if you have a bunch of experience, you know, with a guy, or I'm sorry, if you come to a guy with a bunch of experiences, you know, what good is he to you? And I think even a lot of women will say that, like, if I got my own house, I got my own this, I got my own that, and I've been here, I've been there. What good is this guy? What good can this guy do for me? That's pretty common. That's a pretty common question that women ask. So it would make sense that you would want a guy who you can learn from, who can teach you something, who can lead you somewhere. This idea, somebody had said earlier, like tend to want their equals. I'm like, that's not true, because women don't want their equals. You know, there's a lot of guys out here. Like, I was talking to a guy, and you can go watch the video if you want to. I'm just look up tonight's conversations. Maybe I'll add it back to the stream at some point, but look up tonight's conversations on YouTube. Like, going back to the story, I was talking to a guy once who, about a status I put up a while ago, asking women what's the minimum salary requirement for a man to date you. And when I was telling him that a lot of women were saying somewhere above 65, 75K, this white guy looks at me and he goes, He's like, seriously? He's like, if you got two people making 50K, that's 100K right there. You can have a pretty decent lifestyle. And it really shows in our community and really in our society, because I won't even say this is black people, because you see it in other places too. Just the idea that a man should be able to supplement whatever a woman's making so she can, like, live a certain lifestyle is pretty common. So to say a man is looking for his equal, that's not completely accurate. I'm sorry, a man's looking for his equal, a woman's not looking for her equal a lot of times. So I get where the brother is coming from again, and many of the men that I've shown have had said something similar, that we don't the word impressionable is likely not what he meant. But I hate to say it, I hate to say it out loud. Some of our people have issues with reading comprehension. Um, I even see it on my Facebook page sometimes when people making comments on posts and they use certain vocabulary, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's not what that word means. Like, do but I don't think impressionable is what he meant. He probably meant, like Lennon said here, he said he probably meant receptive, right? Receptive probably with a better word, coachable, teachable, open-minded, to where he's willing to take her. I don't think he's, as this woman would say, like, why do you need that kind of power if you're trying to not make her fuzzy? Damn, how much makeup she got on? Anyway, um, she asked him, why do you need that kind of power if you're not trying to manipulate anybody? I don't think he's trying to manipulate anyone. I just think he's just looking for somebody to, listen. If you want me to lead, you're gonna have to. I hate to say it, and because it sounds so crass, if you want somebody to lead you, you have to be at least open a little bit to be manipulated, right? Because what really is, I mean, we're talking about, when you hear manipulation, you're usually thinking about it in terms of something nefarious, right? Uh, the act of manipulating something in a skillful manner. Uh, Manipulate, handle, or control, typically in a skillful manner. You have to be able to be willing to be manipulated to some extent. If if you want somebody to lead you, they have to be able to tell you what to do. They have to be able to coach you. They have to be able to shape you and mold you into something if you really want true leadership. I really don't really understand this ask for leadership of men, and then just expect, lead me, but I'm going to do whatever I want. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Um he mentioned something else too. Let me see if I can go back and find. So it's not power. Oh, um, couples at work and one being. Yeah, I think we get caught up on semantics quite a bit, and not necessarily because of the definitions of words. It's because of the connotations of words, which is fair. There's certain words, of course, you can't say. Um, Certain words you can't say that will trigger certain people. But I'm not a person who gets triggered by many words, and so um the idea of using a different word is just so weird to me. But everybody's different. Um, that see. So apparently I'm missing a little bit of my live feed on Facebook for some odd reason. Uh, I'm not seeing my live chat on Facebook. I had it up at some point, but let's see. I could say that in order. I guess, for example, I could say, in order to lead someone, I must exploit them. Well, let's see. Um, let's see what we have here. You said exploit, and at this point, I'm like kind of we gotta look up, definitions to words because definitions matter. So let's look up exploit. I'm using the keyboard and I don't have it plugged in. Super fantastic for me. To exploit, definition, to make full use of and derive a benefit from a resource, or exploit is a bold, daring feat. So, I mean, technically, I mean, if you semantics, sure, connotation, everything. But oh, you gave me the definition. I see. But I mean, yeah, in order to lead, you have to kind of exploit people. Like you have, like, it's like when you play a sport, as my dad used to tell me as a coach, when he's a coach and as a player, I understood that the role of a coach is to put your players in the best position to be successful. And of course, as a coach, you want to win. In order to do that, you have to make full use and derive a benefit from your players. You know, I think a lot of times these words again come with terrible connotations, and so it gets all mixed up. But should she be impressionable? Again, I don't care for the word impressionable. I don't think it fits here. Let me see. So I'm go back to this clip and let's see here.
To be impressed upon. If I'm a
Let me
person,
go back a little bit.
see, it's not power. It's impressionable. I've never seen a successful partnership with.
Oh man, I want to catch her face.
See, it's not power. It's impressionable. I've never seen a.
I mean, when someone is impressionable, I mean there is some sense of power in it. Yes, I mean when the word impressionable defined, uh, easily influenced because of lack of critical ability, right? Um, Impressionable. I mean, if you're influenced, then someone clearly has some kind of power. And actually here's some similar or synonyms as they used to call them back in the day. Receptive, right? But impressionable, it says because easily influenced because of lack of critical ability. I'm assuming that means like critical thinking ability and uh, understanding and realize and kind of filtering out what is and what isn't real, or what works and what doesn't work. Um, but there is some kind of power in it. Like that's I mean, essentially you have, if you want to lead in a relationship, of course there has to be some kind of power. It's kind of like when they talk about protection, it's like I can't protect you if I can't tell you what to do. Sometimes, if you won't listen to me, I cannot protect you. I use the example, if somebody breaks in the house and I tell you to get under the bed, we don't have time for you to be like, but what about the closet, and why aren't you getting under the bed? Like, no, we don't have time for that. Under the bed. You know what I mean? So there has to be some kind of power. And I think that the desire for power, well, not desire for power, but that men have to be in a power position if you expect them to lead. I think it's uncomfortable for a lot of women. Like I mean, if you're in leadership, you have some kind of power. As long and women, essentially, you just hope that man doesn't abuse the power that you've given him. But you can't go into it thinking like he's going to abuse his power. Using a word like impressionable, I think you can kind of, and probably what could have happened, or what probably may have happened towards the on the other part of this conversation, is asking him, what do you mean by impressionable? Like, let's spell that out. Like, what does that look like? Because you keep using this word, and everybody, because even the guy towards the end, he was like, yeah, I don't agree. I can't concur with that. Just ask him to define his words, because from what I could tell, even when watching it, it's just he was probably using it wrong, right? Um, so I wanted to talk about this because I mean the topic of age gap dating has kind of come up quite a bit um on my timeline lately from a few different people, and I just think it's kind of odd for women to feel kind of disgusted by it when we know, especially as men, that women have been had this huge age gap date. They've been age gap dating for a very long time. We knew girls who were dating older guys pretty much for the same reasons that he said he wants to date a younger woman, or many men want to date younger women. Easier, we'll say, like, younger women are easier to listen, easier to deal with. They listen, they're receptive, they're open-minded, you know, you can actually tell them things. They don't have as many scars. And then women on the inverse, they like older guys because they've been through things and they can teach them something. And uh, they've had experiences, and they can lead, and they've matured and all these things. So I mean, just it's just kind of odd to say that like men should want women, or even in here's my question. If if the if that reason if the reason that he gave for why he prefers to date younger women, and when he said younger, he didn't say, like, I don't think he meant anything like R. Kelly ish. I don't think he meant like you know, I'm looking for, R. Kelly. I don't think he said any of that. But if if his reasoning is a problem, what reason is he allowed to have? What reasoning is a man allowed to have for dating younger? You know, because that essentially I believe that most men will probably tell you a bit of the same thing when it comes to dating younger women. I guess if you deep dive into their reasoning, but it's to different levels. Like for me, for example, I'm 32. I'll be 33 in a couple days. And I prefer to date women who are at the youngest, and this is pushing youngest, 24, 25, because they haven't had as many scars. Hopefully they don't have the children. And of course, one day when I have kids, they're just in a better position for their bodies to handle it, and things like that. Is that acceptable? Is that reasonable? Or is that problematic? Because the impression I get when I hear guys talk about their dating preferences and why they prefer younger women, it just seems like the women, especially of my age group, ha- have issue with it, um, and expect these men to value them for the things that they value in men, and that's not unusual. It's not unusual. Uh, it's not unusual for people to say things like that. Um, you know, when ask a woman, I hate the question, what do you bring to the table? But what do you have to offer? And then she says something along the lines of, um, let's say something along the lines of, um, their degrees and their accomplishments and how much money they're making being independent. Like, again, that you've heard this before. Like, guys will say that's great, but you know that's not what I'm looking for when it comes to you. And then I'm a d-bag for not wanting to accept that, or not liking you for that, or not thinking that that makes you the bee's knees, right? So just we have different we just have different preferences, and essentially they're opposite preferences. And I mean, to some extent, they have to be. That's just how the world has worked. We're yin and yang. We're not the same. We don't have the same desire. Like, I heard one guy a long time ago, this kind of stuck out in my mind. I should have brought it up earlier, but I heard a friend of mine a few years ago. We were talking about um, dating younger women, and he said something along the lines of dating older women because they bring experience and wisdom and all these things. And me and another friend looked at him. I'm like, are you leading the relationship or is she leading the relationship? You know, are y'all gonna be equal partners or whatever the case may be? But I could tell like he didn't fully believe in what he was saying. I don't know why he said it. Maybe he did, but he just didn't sound sure in his reasoning. And that was really it was very interesting. But typically men in dating women don't look for women who are like their equals. It's just this, and women themselves don't look for men who are their equals. Women tend to look for men who are better than them in a lot of ways. You want a guy who makes more money than you. You want a guy who's taller than you. You want a guy um who can show you things and been places you've never been and can take you here and take you there and whisk you away. Like, you want guys who are better than you. So I guess it's to stand a reason. It should stand a reason that a man isn't going to look for a woman who's been everywhere. I mean, even hate to bring up Disney, but even in Aladdin, he told her, I could show you the world on a magic carpet. Did all this stuff, told her about all the things that he could to do or show her that she hasn't done before. And she was so impressed by it. And this is the world we live in. I mean, this is kind of what it's always been. I don't think men should be shamed for their preferences. I guess if you find that as I'm reading a comment here, the state of the world we live in, and this is on Facebook, so you're not gonna be able to see this. The state of the world that we live in, it's acceptable and reasonable, but it can sometimes come off as predatory. Talking about his preferences and reasoning for why he dates younger women. The other side of the coin is that some women are threatened because they're beyond their prime/youth for childbearing. And that's absolutely part of it. In that when you see guys your age, especially guys who probably, and we talk about this a lot as guys, like we tried to holler at a lot of these girls when we were younger and they turned us down, but now they're getting a little older and seeing that we're not even looking in their age group anymore. Yeah, they feel threatened because their options are slimming. And I can tell, and I can see that for a lot of women, you're seeing your options dwindle has got to be scary. It's got to be scary, especially if you don't have any children or you want to be married someday or partnered someday, and the only guys who really want you are 45 to 55 and up, 50, 45, 50 up, 50 and up old men who are probably married already or got a bunch of kids, or they meet you with no kids and they're like, I want more kids. And you're like, I can't do that. Or you don't want to do that. Right. So it's a scary world. Like, in aging, it's difficult for us in a lot of ways. I mean, as men, we always talk about how, you know, as you get older, your options tend to increase. So for a lot of us, it's kind of happening in reverse. Um, but for women, it's definitely happening the other direction. Let's see here. As I'm just kind of letting this thing run here. Oh shoot, because I'm just now seeing people who are watching me right now. Hey everybody, how you doing? How you doing? Comment says hypergamy is natural, but it's a double-edged sword for highly successful women. It is. And I mean, you kind of when you looking for older guys, I'm not older guys, but looking for guys who are more successful to you, I mean, you kind of shorten up your dating pool, which is why it becomes so hard for a lot of women. It becomes so hard for a lot of women to date, you know, to find a mate because you're looking for a guy. Let's say you make 75K, less than 15% of the country. I think it's even, I think, yeah, less than 15, 20% of the country of men make more than that. And then, then a lot of times women want guys to make double, and it's just not going to happen, and a lot of guys who make double, their options are you at 28, 29, 30, and all them girls who just, what they say, a new girl turns 18 every day. They like younger. They may not go as young as 18. They may go 21 because you got to be able to take them to the club and stuff. But the point is, their options are more than just you, and you got to compete. Do you have what he wants? Right? I didn't really have any notes on these things. I'm kind of just spitballing right now. As I'm still having like conversations with people about the video, and I keep seeing the same words of controlling and manipulation and things of that nature, which it just seems like a lot of women are paranoid that that's the thing that's going to happen from a guy who says, I want a woman who's going to be quote unquote impressionable. Again, not thinking that that's exactly what he meant, but a guy who wants to be able to tell a woman something like, hey, and a lot of guys will understand this, because again, if you look for me for leadership, are you going to listen to me? Because if you're not, then are you really going to allow me to be a leader? And then that goes into a whole nother conversation about why some women will pick, pookies, as they so affectionately call them, as boyfriends, because you can control Pookie. You can buy him that PS5, and the minute Pookie act up, you could take the PS5 and you can kick him out the house, whatever, right? But you can't do that with guys who are worth their salt. Again, that's a whole other conversation. So impressionable is probably not the right word. Probably not the right word. Definitely not the right word you want to use. If you want to be listened to, if you want somebody to be receptive to what you have to say, probably not impressionable, especially because, well, these days when you talk about these things with women, it's like walking on landmines, because even right now I'm pretty sure some woman is listening to me and they're like, oh my god, he's defending this predatory behavior, and I'm like, that's not what it is. But you want a man to have power, don't you? You want a man to lead you. You're attracted to his power. How can you be upset at a man who recognizes that and says, hey, if I'm in this position, I'd much rather, her listen to me? I'm not defending predatory behavior. That's egregious. Because even though my closest of friends will tell you, like when it comes to topics like Robert, like that disgusts me. People who prey on other people to take advantage of them and manipulate them, I don't stand for that kind of thing. But when it comes to dating women who are younger, that's just been the natural order. It's what we've done for a very long time. And his reasons, although again, impressionable may not be the right word, his reasons aren't very far off from what a lot of guys will say anyway. I mean, of course, it happens at varying levels. A guy won't just outwardly say like, "Yo, I'm trying to control her." He might just say, "You know, I want a younger woman because she's a little bit more, a little less experienced, and we can, I can I can be a leader in that position. You got people say I want her to be coachable. I want her to be, that. I mean, but what gets me, and this is probably where I'm going to wrap up. What gets me is that there are so many. There are a lot of women who are posting this. There are a lot of women posting this video, and they're like, they don't see themselves like, you ask the question, what do you want in a guy? And your answers are going to be the inverse of whatever he said. Again, I said it earlier. You want a guy who can teach you something. You want a guy who's more mature. You want a guy who can lead you, right? And all those things come with you being receptive to what he has to say. Jasmine here says, again, StreamYard is not letting me show a Facebook comments, but say I'm not sure why women are so shocked at his perspective. Yeah, me either. I think really it's not the shock at the perspective. I think it's the shock at the words, which is so crazy because I mean, you know what the perspective is. Even for it's hypocritical for you to be upset with him for wanting to date younger girls because most women want to date older guys. I can't tell you how many women I know personally who have talked to me. I've talked to about this, and they tell me they're dating guys who are like 5 years older and 7 years older and 8 years older, right? The reasoning is pretty much going to be the same no matter how old the guy is. The age may change a little bit. Like, if I'm 32 and I'm looking to date 22-year-olds, and that's my reasoning, when I'm 55 and I'm looking to date 35-year-olds, that's going to be my reasoning because you're not as knuckleheaded or hard-headed as a 55-year-old woman. Easier to deal with, right? I don't know. I'm just a guy who listens to these things and I think about these things, and it doesn't make sense. I just don't understand why it gets so frustrating for people and people get so triggered. But as the comment said earlier, other side of the coin is some women are threatened because they're beyond their prime youth and for prime / youth for childbearing or childbearing, dating, right? Options getting slim. A lot of women I've seen repost this are at least my age, 30 and up, who are right now single. So it's gotta hurt when those dudes that you that you turned down in high school look at you and say, like, hey, you aged out, ma. It's some younger women out there who be a little easier to deal with. I'm gonna go see what they're talking about. Poor word choice, but reasonable. Exactly. Seems like a fear response. What if he doesn't pick me? Oh, well, they don't want to be picked, right? Because there's something wrong with being a pick me. That's another conversation. Ooh, I should write that down. Pick me. Pick me should be a whole other conversation because it's so crazy that y'all get mad at women who agree with guys or do what it takes to be with a guy and call her a pick me when y'all the same ones who complain about not getting dudes to act right and y'all want to be in relationships and y'all need a man and this, that, and the third, but you don't want to do nothing to get picked. You're gonna find your person, quote unquote, and y'all just gonna fit, quote unquote. You're gonna find your soulmate, quote unquote. In a world of 7 billion people, 8 billion people, I think we just crossed, right? You want to find your soulmate? You just think you're gonna find somebody in the contingent United States that you're just gonna align with and it's just gonna match up perfectly? No, you gotta do some work. Some concessions have to be made. You have to do what it takes to get what you want. One of the comments earlier from my Instagram poll, kind of a poll, but also questions, has said that, and let me find it real quick. Sounds like he wants to mold someone into what he wants. If you want somebody, I would think you would be willing to do what it takes to be with them as long as it doesn't compromise, your health and safety. If it makes you a better person, absolutely do it. Why not? If you want it that bad, if you think it's going to be beneficial to you, again, as long as it doesn't compromise your health and safety, you should be willing to work with somebody and change some things. Like, for example, with me, I'm a pretty straight shooter. I'm a pretty straight shooter. Um, I don't really have much of a filter, and I say things that are on my mind. But if I'm dating someone who I know is a bit more sensitive than I am, I have to be able to communicate in a way that's effective for that person. I don't necessarily feel compromised because in a lot of ways, I think that there are. I mean, for myself personally, I think there are some ways I can improve on my communication. Right. So there are some ways I can improve upon my communication. And I don't necessarily think that there's anything wrong with dating, talking to somebody who I'm going to have to change a little bit for. I'm not going to change my whole personality. I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to change my morals, values, and ethics. But I could definitely do something. Says that's usually the on the sideline I couldn't perspective. What do you mean by that I couldn't? One of these days when I can jump in here, I'm gonna just drop the link and let people come on and talk. Give me 1 second. I tell you what, as an adult, you buy a lot of things that make you happy that you wouldn't have guessed as a child. I bought a back scratcher, and that thing's awesome. Right? That thing's awesome. Um, where was I? Uh, gosh, I forgot where I was. But being impressionable. Oh, that's right. Doing something for somebody who you want. You should be receptive if it's somebody you want. If it's somebody you desire, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to be with somebody who is receptive. I mean, I can talk about some of my dating experiences where I've met women who just flat out is like, this is who I am, and I'm not going to change for nobody, and this, that, and the third. I don't want to be with that because that just means you stubborn, which I have some, which I have some other thoughts about because, we talk about the brain being fully developed at 27, 28, and then that's the time you think you need to settle down. Why do you want to settle down with somebody when you already fully stubborn? You're not malleable. You're not flexible, or not as easily. It's going to take a lot more work at that age, which is why a lot of people were dating younger because they knew, well, besides, early back in the day where the life expectancy was 55, but they knew that if people got too old, then they're going to have some problems. Oh, you said that's what I mean. And they usually end up on the sideline. Yeah, they'll end up on the sideline because they're not willing to do what it takes, not willing to be receptive. I'm not going to let a man manipulate and control me. All right, well, then you just going to be single. Because how can you protect something that you cannot control? How do you protect something that you cannot control? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of gonna read off what someone says. I'm essentially telling somebody the same thing on an Instagram post. And you're right. You're right. You can't protect something you can't control. Right. It's like an example I gave earlier. If the house is getting robbed, and I tell my woman, "Hey, go hide under the bed," and you want to argue with me about why the bed is not the best place or whatever, then who's in control? You put us all at risk because you won't listen, right? Almost like the whole gas station thing, Hey, don't go to this gas station. But if you say, you know what, I'm just gonna go anyway, that's a problem because don't go to the Murder Mac after this time, right? For all my Detroit folks, don't go to the Murder Mac after this time. Why? Because it's dangerous. Well, I'm gonna go anyway. All right. Well, you're gonna incur some danger. I can't control you, so that's my protection going. Um, this woman says she doesn't know a man that she deems trustworthy who says that they like younger women because they're easier. And then she says that younger women are naive. I think she's like 29, something like that. And I basically told her all the stuff I told y'all that, just that's kind of the way of the world. And, it's easier for men to deal with. They're more receptive. So it definitely gives controlling vibes, saying they are more likely to listen to older men. That comes off as do what I say. It's not do what I say. It's not do as I say. Because, I mean, most men, especially when it comes to our women, expect some kind of pushback. We're going to get some kind of pushback for what you say. You're not always going to get a yes man, a yes woman all the time. I don't think really I won't say no man wants that, but I don't think any man really expects that, especially not in today's era. But we want you to be a bit more receptive to what we have to say and value what we say, because men have good ideas too. When I take the approach of listening to a man, it is the same as I would with any person. Active listening to what he needs as a person. Is he happy? What makes him happy? Body language, understanding him, etc. It takes a mature person to know how to listen to a person's needs, both verbal and nonverbal. If you think younger women listen better in that way than older women, I think you are mistaken. Unless you're referring to listen to what I say and do it. But we all have our own opinion, so I digress. That's where a lot of women just like, okay, I'm not gonna keep arguing with you. We have our own opinions, but quite honestly, you can have your own opinion, but human beings have been on this world for thousands of years. There's a formula for success, but we seem to buck it in this generation, maybe because of the internet. Older women tend to pick up on certain cues as they've been around the block, but when you have like one woman who in particular can, tend to your needs, it's a bit more special. Especially because that older woman is using past experiences, and a lot of times for guys, we don't want to know that she even had those past experiences. It's kind of like I heard a comedian say one time that this is just a part of his joke, but not the joke. But he says that guys hate to imagine their women with other guys. Like even if you say like you've been with guys in the past, the guys that we envision, they don't have faces or anything; they're just blobs. Right. Or even Chris Rock had a joke where he's like, you don't ask a woman her body count, because if she says anything she says is too much. We're like, she could say 2, and you'd be like, 2? Oh, I guess this is how you was raised. Right. But I mean, you can have all the experiences that you want, but it's almost like when women talk about men sexually, like we can't do all the same things with the old woman that we did with the new woman, because y'all are different. You can't do the same things with the old guy that you did with us, because we're different. But again, you're stuck in your ways at a certain age, and you think you know everything. And if I tell you, if you look at me, say like, oh, you look like you need a nap, and it's like, no, I'm good. You just be like, no, you need a nap. Like maybe that doesn't work for me. A younger woman is more likely to listen and kind of let us be free, and she'll learn what these things really mean along the way. I don't know. At this point, I'm spitballing. All right. Well, it is 9:00, and I've been on for almost an hour. I appreciate y'all for coming in, tuning in, turning in. I don't want to keep anybody up too long. I don't want to stay up myself too long. I had work today, worked both jobs, and I still need to kind of decompress before bed. So I'm going to get out of here. But it was super fantastic talking to y'all, interacting with y'all, reading the comments. And this will be up on my YouTube channel. This will be up on my YouTube channel at the Standard RLC on YouTube, as you see down in the corner. It's been great. Have a super fantastic rest of your night, and I'm out.